Straight ahead, Big D departure. Now that Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia is leaving, we take a look at how it could impact the November election in the city. Fair fight. The state fair wins its legal battle with Attorney General Ken Paxton over its gun policy. What it all means when you head to see Big Tex. Political fallout. Why the Tarrant County GOP is criticizing two Republican Tarrant County commissioners after a vote on polling locations. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics starts now. Hello and welcome to Eye on Politics for what turned out to be a busy week, especially in Dallas. And we begin with the Big D departure. After more than 3 years, Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia is retiring from the city of Dallas and will start his new job as an assistant city manager overseeing public safety for the city of Austin on November 4th. He's following the man who hired him in Dallas, former city manager T.C. Broadnax, who's now running Austin. It comes several months after the chief agreed to stay on through May 2027 as chief. In a statement, Garcia said, quote, "Deciding to step away from this profession has been one of the most challenging decisions of my life. Law enforcement has shaped who I am, providing me with a strong sense of purpose, responsibility, and camaraderie." Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson and interim city manager Kim Tolbert released a joint statement saying, quote, "We are immensely grateful to Chief Garcia for his dedicated service and unwavering commitment to the safety of our residents. While we are sorry to see him go, we also know that the big city police chiefs never stick around forever." Some Dallas City Council members have expressed concerns that more people will follow Chief Garcia out the door. They blame 3 proposed charter amendments that Dallas voters will consider on Election Day. They're part of what's called the Dallas Hero Initiative from a group that submitted more than 169,000 signatures to get them on the ballot. One amendment would require the city to maintain a police force of at least 4,000 officers, which is about 900 more than in the city now, and increase their starting salaries. Another amendment would have the city survey about 1,400 residents asking if the city manager should get a bonus or be fired. And another amendment would allow residents to sue the city if they felt the city isn't complying with state law or its own charter or ordinances. I spoke with city council members Paula Blackman and Adam Basildua, who told me they were blindsided by Garcia's departure.
I am surprised at the move, especially since we went through the exercise in September. But I'm not surprised because I know that Chief Garcia wanted to get into management for his last part of his career. So I applaud him for that. But, I was totally taken by surprise at the announcement and the where and how it all unfolded.
Council member Basildua.
Yes, it was definitely a surprise to me. I would say the timing is what I have the most issue with. I don't know that there's an ideal time to see such a change with the impact that Chief Garcia made as he was here. So we were going to feel that no matter what. But it would have been nice to have a little bit more of a lead time to get prepared for what this would look like. But just as Paula said, this is really great for Chief Garcia. I'm happy for him and his family in the next chapter of his life.
Both of you seem to blame the Dallas Hero Initiative, these 3 proposed charter amendments, among them one that would require the city to have and maintain 4,000 police officers and increase starting salaries. And I'm wondering, what impact do you think this had on the chief's decision and how this will impact the November election on these amendments?
With a seasoned professional who takes their job very serious, how would you feel after decades of giving your career to a profession to be undermined and micromanaged from millionaires with a political agenda? I don't believe that that's why any police chief signs up to wear the badge and to take the helm of a department. And that's overall what it is that we're looking at. This is the first of many dominoes, in my opinion, to see fall because of the impact that these draconian measures would have on our city.
The timing is kind of interesting, right? I mean, these are on the ballot, and we had it settled in May, and now our police chief is leaving. So the timing is pretty interesting. And he told us, 900 officers, getting them trained and on the street is almost impossible. And it's about $175 million price tag. We were fighting over a $400,000 library staying open. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when we either raise taxes or we cut our services? So these are very, very harsh amendments. They seem benign, but the ripple effect is unbelievable.
Why would it have such an impact on the budget?
We have to look at what Chief Garcia said about growing responsibly. And if we grow too rapid, it's going to absolutely diminish the quality of talent that we're going to be able to recruit. But at the same time, we don't even have the capacity to train that amount of officers. And then we've even paid money for a consultant. KPMG has told us what our sweet spot number should be. We've heard from officers and the associations what the level of manpower should be in the department, and no one has suggested that 4,000 is obtainable or necessary.
If you think about it, our quality of life portfolio will be wiped out. Parks, libraries, arts and culture, done. And I don't think that's what a balanced city is. A balanced city has all those things plus public safety.
We also spoke with Pete Morocco, Executive Director of the HERO Initiative. He responded to council members who said the initiative may have pushed Chief Garcia away.
So predictable, typical spinning, looking for excuses and scapegoats where they have simply failed. Clearly, there is a complete lack of leadership on the city council. There's a lack of leadership in the city manager's office. You've got perpetual lies about the budget impact, about slipping standards.
Why do you think these three amendments will actually benefit residents?
Well, first of all, there's no question that residents need more security. 72% of South Dallas alone is in favor of this pro-police amendment, and only 19% are against. That's more than a 50% spread. So the people of Dallas recognize we need greater security. The bottom line is we have been losing hundreds and hundreds of police officers for the past few years. Public safety is the #1 concern for the community, and that's what these are going to solve.
Council members we spoke with said that bringing the police department up from 3,100 officers now, up by 900 to 4,000, which one of the amendments requires, would cost $175 million, and then obviously the city would have to maintain that. They told me that this is going to force the city to make budget cuts in other areas because the city doesn't have it, or raise taxes. What do you say to that?
Their math is wrong in a number of different ways. First of all, we believe it's going to cost $185.5 million. We think that it's going to be something that if it were absorbed all at once, which it's not, then it would be something that, first of all, the budget could withstand. Dallas is going to get $350 million more in new revenue, going from a budget of $4.65 billion to $5.05 billion next year. So the suggestion that they don't have room in the budget for more police officers is simply not accurate. Secondly, Dallas police force is about to drop below 3,000 officers. With the departure of Chief Garcia, I expect we may see even more departures. This is an urgent matter. It's a very urgent matter that citizens need to pay attention to get more police officers in our force.
But let me ask you, I mean, even the police chief, the outgoing police chief, my understanding is, did not support this initiative because he worried about how are they going to get 900 officers. Number one, the city has had, like other cities, have had problems attracting police officers. And two, graduating all these people and getting them up to a standard of the Dallas Police Department.
I really want to continue to clarify the statement that Chief Garcia made was that he could not absorb 900 police officers in a single year. We have not proposed that. We have not proposed that.
There's no timetable?
Well, we've estimated it might take 3 to 5 years. We want this to happen with a reliable standard that's responsible, where you can maintain high standards and be done responsibly. We continue to say that over.
A nationwide search will start soon for Garcia's replacement. It comes at the same time that Dallas is looking for a permanent city manager after Broadnax's departure earlier this year. Now to the fair fight. The State Fair of Texas will be able to keep visitors with concealed carry permits from bringing their guns into Fair Park. This after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton took the city of Dallas, which leases the land to the fair, to court last week. The AG's office argued in court that Fair Park was public property and a firearms ban would violate gun owners' Second Amendment rights. The ban was put into place after a shooting at the fair last year injured several people. Under the new rules, only active or retired police officers would be allowed to carry firearms. Attorneys for the State Fair expect the legal fighting to continue despite the judge's ruling. Coming up, the political fallout and dust-up among some Tarrant County Republicans after a controversial vote on whether local universities should have polling locations when Eye on Politics returns. Welcome back to Eye on Politics. Now to the political fallout among some Tarrant County Republicans over last week's controversial vote by county commissioners to keep polling locations at local universities. Among the 4 votes to give the green light, Republicans Manny Ramirez and Gary Fickus joined the 2 Democrats on the court, Elisa Simmons and Roy Brooks. Republican County Judge Tim O'Hare was the only no vote. After that, the Tarrant County GOP passed a unanimous resolution expressing disapproval of the vote and criticizing Fickus and Ramirez. We spoke with Ramirez about it.
You know, Jack, obviously I was a little bit surprised, only because I'd never heard closing campus sites as being part of the Republican platform. But honestly, I understand both points of the argument. I mean, I certainly understand the passion around wanting to make sure that we have free and fair elections overall. My decision basically boiled down to, I didn't think that it was morally justifiable for me to close a polling site that's been very heavily used over the last 2 decades. And let me remind you, Jack, I mean, the decision to approve these voting sites, these are the exact same sites that we've been approving for 2 decades. And it was simply just, following our elections administrator's recommendations.
And as far as the polling locations, we haven't had early voting for 2 decades, have we? But you're saying that has been there's always been a location on UTA and other campuses.
Yeah, correct. There's been locations at our college campuses around Tarrant County for more than 2 decades. And so they've been heavily utilized in the past for early voting. And I think this court unanimously approved them just back in March for primary voting.
I spoke with the GOP chair, Beau French, a short time ago, and he told me he considers you a friend, but that you simply made a mistake on this vote. And that and the reason for that is he's like, it's never good when, quote, the radical left is cheering. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't consider my vote a mistake at all, because it's never a mistake to stand up for what you believe is morally right. And in my mind, I swore an oath to the Constitution, and I swore an oath to protect and serve the citizens of Fort Worth and Tarrant County. And part of that is ensuring that I'm providing free and fair access and equal access to the polling sites so that our citizens can cast their ballots. Jack, I'm a cop. I'm not a politician. I've been a forward police officer for 15 years. And so I just stand up and I do what's right. I may not make the most politically expedient decisions, but I make the decisions that I think are right.
As you know, Fort Worth Mayor Matty Parker and State Representative Charlie Guerin, both Republicans in Fort Worth, commended you. What did you think of that? Were you relieved?
I've been glad to get the response from all over the state of Texas. It's been incredible. We've probably gotten thousands of messages, calls, emails from Republican leaders all across this state and Republican grassroots activists right here at home.
What have they said?
Well, and they're telling me, thank you, Manny. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for doing what you believe is right. We are the party that made Texas the miracle that it is. We are the party that made Texas the incredible business environment, the party that creates incredible jobs and lowers your taxes. We've got a very compelling message to our next generation.
We also spoke with Tarrant County GOP Chair Beau French about this.
Well, I don't have control over what my executive committee does, but yeah, I think the vast majority of grassroots Republicans believe that with limited number of polling locations, given our countywide voting here in Tarrant County, that those polling locations should be accessible to the widest number of people. College campuses are not. They're hard to get to. They're with 50 polling locations in Tarrant County. Almost 20% of the locations are on college campuses, which seem to indicate an effort to turn out more Democrats than Republicans. I mean, I think that is the stated goal of some of the groups operating here in Tarrant County. And look, it's just a matter of, we have a limited number of polling locations. They should be accessible to the widest number of people. In the case of UTA, for instance, University of Texas at Arlington, very low turnout in that polling location. And there's another polling location literally a couple blocks away.
And just to be clear, you back what the executive committee did?
Well, I think anytime somebody, when a Republican votes to the applause of the radical leftist mob, it probably was a bad vote. Look, I have a great relationship with Commissioner Ramirez. I think he's a great guy. I think he has a very bright future. But, people make mistakes. I think that particular vote was a bad vote.
In response, Commissioner Ramirez sent out a statement. He isn't backing down. He said that these same early voting sites were approved back in March unanimously. He said these sites have been around for a while, and he accused you of using party resources to attack him and spread misinformation about him. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond.
Yeah. I use no party resources to do anything. I think there were some other groups who maybe sent some text messages or something that I heard about. I assume that's what he's talking about. Obviously, those did not come from the Tarrant County GOP or any resources we have. Our executive committee did have a meeting and did vote. So, I mean, if that's what he's talking about, maybe. But listen, like I said, people make mistakes. I think this was a bad vote.
I wanted to ask you because Democrats have said that this was the Tarrant County Republicans, or at least Tim O'Hare and now the Tarrant County GOP, trying to suppress the vote of younger people who vote Democratic. What do you say to that?
That is a low IQ argument. We all know that we're not trying to suppress the vote. We have countywide voting, right? People can choose to go to whatever locations, but we have a limited number of locations. We only have 50 locations. Right now, it is my belief, because almost 20% of those locations are on college campuses, it's making it harder for everyone else to vote.
Now to the U.S. Senate race. There will be a debate between Republican incumbent Ted Cruz and his Democratic challenger Colin Allred. The two will square off in their first televised debate in Dallas on October 15th. It'll be broadcast on the Tegna-owned TV stations across the state. Coming up, the Secret Service under review and changes that are being made immediately when Eye on Politics returns. The Secret Service outlined a number of failures that led to the first attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. The acting Secret Service Director, Ronald Rose, says the agency didn't provide clear guidance or direction to local and state law enforcement in Butler, Pennsylvania. He also outlined communication issues, including an over-reliance on mobile devices. Thomas Crooks opened fire on July 13th, wounding Trump as he was speaking at the rally. 2 others were hurt. 1 person was killed. A bipartisan congressional committee that includes North Texas Representative Pat Fallon has scheduled a hearing for later this month as they work on their own investigation into the shooting, as well as a second apparent attempt on the former president's life as he was golfing in Florida last Sunday. On Friday, the House unanimously approved a bill to bolster Secret Service protection for major presidential and vice presidential candidates. Funding for the Secret Service is also under scrutiny. Here's Sarah Jenkins with this week's brief.
The Secret Service has 8,300 employees in over 150 offices at home and abroad. Agency leaders say staffing needs to grow to nearly 10,000 by fiscal year 2026. The Secret Service's budget is $3 billion. 87% of that budget goes to protective operations. During a recent briefing, the acting Secret Service Director, Ronald Rowe, said staff shortages and agency finances continue to be a major problem. The GOP vice chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, Senator Susan Collins, said, quote, "If the Secret Service substantiates the need, I cannot imagine Congress not meeting that request." But Republican Congressman Tim Burchett said with a $3 million budget, the Secret Service doesn't have a funding problem, it has a culture problem.
Now to our weekly segment tracking the crucial battleground states, and the Real Clear Politics average of polls has still had very little movement. The race remains oh so close. In Arizona, former President Donald Trump leads Vice President Kamala Harris by 1.6 percentage points, just like last week. The vice president's lead over Trump in Nevada has slipped a little from last week to now 0.2 percentage points. In Georgia, Trump got a bump up from last week and leads by 1.7 percentage points. Now to the Midwest, in Wisconsin, and Harris leads by 1.2 percentage points, which is down from last week. But Harris got a bump up in Michigan from last week and now leads by 1.7 percentage points. After having a tie for 2 weeks in Pennsylvania, Harris now leads Trump by 1 percentage point. And North Carolina has the tightest margin of all the states, with Trump leading still by 0.1 percentage points. And remember, you can watch the full interviews of all our interviews today on our website, cbsnewstexas.com. Go to the Eye on Politics icon. And that's all for Eye on Politics this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening at CBS News Texas. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you again next week.